So maybe you're looking for a way to jazz up your chicken dinner. It can be so boring. Well, would allspice or maybe cinnamon do the trick? Well, today's recipe in the ciKitchen offering a little bit of sweet and a little bit of spice with the U of I student chef, Josh Heiger, with the Food Science and Human Nutrition program at the U of I. It's good to have you.
It's great to be here.
So we're talking about jerk chicken. I think, where does it come from? What does that mean?
Jerk chicken, or jerk spice in general, is a spice blend that comes from the island of Jamaica in the Caribbean. And originally, the spices came over from Africa in the slave trade and then found their home in Jamaica. And it's a whole bunch of spices all put together that can be rubbed on chicken or fish, or they even do goat in Jamaica.
Yeah, and it's got a real interesting blend of spices, because we were saying at the beginning, kind of sweet, kind of spicy, a little bit of everything, right? And I love the fact that it's so good for grills.
Absolutely. So summertime's coming up. We want to be able to put something on the grill when you're entertaining guests.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've got a great recipe for us. You're in food science and human nutrition, and you guys do things a little bit differently in terms of the way that you measure out products. So we're going to show everyone what the ingredients for the recipe are here. But tell us about why you measure things out the way that you do.
Absolutely. So we measure in the kitchen using weights as opposed to volumes. So we're using ounces as opposed to tablespoons and teaspoons because it's much, much more accurate. If you put two people together and you tell them measure a teaspoon of salt, they might be off by their weights a little bit. In some recipes that can matter. However, when you're using weights and I tell you measure 1 ounce of something, we can both be exactly on 1 ounce.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense, because if you're working with tablespoons and you dust off the top at the wrong level or whatever, you get different senses.
Exactly.
And then it all comes together into something delicious. So go over what you brought, because there are a ton of spices. And we're doing, this is a wet rub?
Yes, this is a wet rub, which is similar to a marinade. So a dry rub would be just the spices. The wet rub, we're going to take the same spices and add a little bit of oil and a little bit of vinegar.
Okay, so go over with us what we brought today.
All right, so we've got kosher salt, ground ginger, brown sugar, black pepper, cayenne pepper, ground clove, dried thyme, garlic powder, onion powder, coriander, allspice, and cinnamon.
Yeah.
And then in addition to the olive oil and the vinegar. And then we add the vinegar in for the rub for a little acidity in order to break down the proteins in the chicken.
And that makes the chicken more susceptible to getting all the delicious flavors and everything.
Yep, and it makes it a little more tender.
Oh, more tender, too. Interesting. All right, so through the magic of television, it's all here in the bowl now. We've dumped everything in, and we just stir it together. Now, because it obviously looks wet.
Yes.
So would you do all the dry spices first and then add everything? I mean, how important is mixing the dry ahead of time?
So I would add all the dry spices in the bowl. You could just dump them all in. Then I would mix those with your whisk or whatever, or your spoon. And then I would add the wet in to make sure everything's incorporated properly.
Okay, so I'm going to get a pair of gloves here real quick, because I want to have a part in this. You have the chicken breasts out. What do you leave them at a certain temperature? Like, do they need to be warm, or are they just cold right out of the package?
So for these, we're going to keep them cold. You're going to take them right out of the fridge. You're going to put them in the marinator, the wet rub, and then you're actually going to cover them and leave them marinating overnight or for 24 hours. And then after that, you're going to take them out. And I like to grill mine first. You could either leave them on the grill for the full cooking time or get some nice grill marks and finish them in the oven.
That's smart, too, in case the weather gets bad or something like that.
Exactly.
It's not over. You can still have the great grill taste and the delicious jerk chicken. Okay, so what we did for these breasts is we basically just took the breast and we stuck it in and we got it lathered it up.
Yep.
Basically. So what do you think about, like, this is a good breast as an example. So it's got some kind of nooks and crannies. It's got a little cut in there. Do you recommend, like, getting it down in there? Is that?
I would. In my opinion, the more sauce and the more rub you can get on there, the more flavor you're going to have at the end. And so we're using bone-in, skin-on chicken breast because the bone and the skin are going to add a little bit of flavor and keep the breast moist throughout the cooking process.
Oh, smart. Okay. So I just put those in, lay them all out. And again, you're wanting to put these on the grill, but you could do this in the oven, couldn't you?
Absolutely. You could just put that right in the oven now, or again, if we're going to let them marinate overnight, that would be even better.
So a full 24 hours.
Yep.
Okay.
I wouldn't go too much longer than 48 because then the vinegar and the acid we did put in there is going to break it down too much.
Oh, interesting. I had never even considered that. See, this is why we have brilliant people working at the U of I and learning there, too. Josh, thank you. We appreciate it. You're doing a special Spice Box program coming up.
Absolutely.
That features jerk chicken.
Yep, it's the capstone project for my whole college career, and I am putting on my own pop-up restaurant, essentially. I came up with the theme and all the table decorations, tested all my recipes, and my theme is Jamaican. It will be April 15th and I hope you can make it. You can find the Spice Box online and make reservations through the phone number.
Yeah, it's right there, 333-6520 to RSVP. It's really reasonable in terms of cost, and you get a great variety of tastes happening there, too. And if this is any preview of what's coming, I'm sure it's going to be really good. So, all right, so this would go in for 24 hours, and so we'll visit with you in 24 minutes and, you know, kind of play the magic of television and see what the final product looks like. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Josh, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Josh Heiger with the University of Illinois Food Science and Human Nutrition program. Definitely check them out, including his Spice Box recipe, which we have online at CILiving.tv.